There is a person you have met in your life who made you feel immediately comfortable, almost inexplicably so. Within minutes of knowing them, you felt seen, understood, and at ease in a way that usually takes months to develop with other people. You trusted them before you had any logical reason to. You wanted to be around them again before the conversation had even ended. And when you thought about it later, you could not quite explain why. They were not the most attractive person in the room, or the loudest, or even the most accomplished. There was simply something about them that worked, something that operated below the surface of the conversation and created a feeling you could sense but could not name. That something is not magic, it is science. And once you understand it, your relationships, your career, and the way people experience you will never be quite the same. The study of social influence and interpersonal attraction is one of the oldest fields in psychology, but some of its most powerful findings remain almost entirely unknown outside of academic circles. Scientists have spent decades mapping the precise mechanisms by which human beings decide whether they like another person, and what they found was far less about charm or charisma than most people assume. Likability, it turns out, is not a personality trait you are either born with or without. It is a collection of specific, learnable behaviors that activate predictable responses in the human brain. And the most fascinating part of all this research is that the behaviors that make people genuinely like you have almost nothing to do with impressing them and everything to do with how you make them feel about themselves. The foundation of this entire science begins with a phenomenon that researchers discovered almost by accident during a series of experiments on human perception. They found that the single most powerful driver of whether someone feels positively toward another person is not attractiveness, not status, not wit or humor or intelligence. It is the feeling of being genuinely seen and understood. When a person feels truly understood by someone else, the brain releases oxytocin, the same bonding chemical produced during moments of physical affection and deep trust. The experience of being understood is, neurologically, one of the most rewarding social experiences a human being can have, and the person who provides that experience becomes, unconsciously but powerfully, associated with that reward. This is why the most socially magnetic people in the world are almost universally described not as great talkers, but as extraordinary listeners. But listening in the way that triggers this neurological response is not the passive, polite nodding that most people mistake for attention. It is something researchers call active presence, a quality of attention so focused and genuine that the person speaking feels as though the entire world has temporarily contracted to include only the two of you. The way to develop this quality is deceptively simple and almost never taught. When someone is speaking to you, resist every impulse to think about what you are going to say next, to find a related story of your own, or to mentally evaluate what they're telling you. Instead, stay completely inside their words. Notice what they are not saying as much as what they are. Pay attention to what lights up in their face when they mention certain things and what dims when they move away from them. People reveal their most important values and desires in the details of how they talk, and the person who catches those details and responds to them directly creates an almost instant and deeply felt sense of connection. Closely connected to this is one of the most quietly powerful tools in the psychology of human connection, and it is something that almost every influential person uses without necessarily being aware of it. It is the art of remembering the specific things people tell you and bringing them back in future conversations. When you mention something in passing, a concern you had, a dream you mentioned once, a name that mattered to you, and someone remembers it and asks about it later, the emotional effect is disproportionately large relative to how small the gesture seems. This is because the brain interprets being remembered as evidence of being valued. In a world where most people are mentally distracted for the majority of their social interactions, having someone demonstrate that they were genuinely paying attention feels rare and remarkable. It creates loyalty, warmth, and a sense of being important that people associate deeply with the person who made them feel that way. There is also a fascinating psychological principle called the pratfall effect, discovered through a series of social experiments that produced results nobody expected. Researchers found that when highly competent people made small human mistakes, they were actually perceived as more likable than when they performed flawlessly. The effect works because perfection, while impressive, creates a psychological distance. It activates a subtle feeling of inadequacy in the observer, a quiet sense that the perfect person exists on a different level and cannot fully understand ordinary human experience. But when a capable person drops something, fumbles over a word, or laughs at their own mistake, that distance collapses. Suddenly, they are accessible, they are human, they are safe to like. This is why people who are willing to be gently self-deprecating, who can laugh at themselves without self-destruction, who can acknowledge their imperfections without apology, are almost universally experienced as warmer and more likable than those who maintain a carefully polished exterior. Vulnerability in this context is not weakness. It is one of the most sophisticated social tools that human beings possess, and its power is grounded in a very specific psychological dynamic. When you share something true about yourself, something that requires a degree of courage to admit, you signal to another person that you trust them. And trust, when offered first, creates an almost irresistible social pressure to reciprocate. This is known as the reciprocity of disclosure, and it is one of the most reliable pathways to genuine intimacy in human relationships. It works not because people feel obligated to respond to your vulnerability, but because the experience of being trusted activates their own willingness to open up, creating a mutual depth of connection that would have taken months to develop through careful, guarded conversation. Here is where the science takes a turn that surprises most people. One of the most powerful things you can do to make someone like you has nothing to do with what happens when you are together and everything to do with what happens when you are not. Researchers studying long-term relationship formation found that the people who became most consistently well-liked over time were those who consistently created positive associations in the minds of others between themselves and good feelings, without requiring the other person to be present. This means speaking generously about people when they are not in the room. It means celebrating others' achievements without qualification or diminishment. It means never participating in gossip or complaint about the people you care about. The brain builds its feelings about a person not just from direct experience, but from the accumulating pattern of everything associated with that person's name. And someone who consistently appears in your mind alongside warmth, generosity, and safety becomes almost unconsciously beloved. There is also a deeply underestimated principle at work in the way human beings form opinions about each other, and it operates so quietly that most people never notice it influencing them. It is called the exposure effect, and it reveals something remarkable about how familiarity shapes affection. Studies have repeatedly shown that the more often a person is simply exposed to something, including another person, the more positively they tend to feel about it, even in the complete absence of any particularly meaningful interaction. This means that consistency of presence, showing up regularly, being reliably there, contributes to being liked in ways that have nothing to do with being impressive in any particular moment. The people who are consistently present in someone's life, who maintain regular small contact, who appear with predictable warmth, become woven into the fabric of that person's daily emotional experience in a way that creates genuine, lasting affection. All of these principles converge on a single truth that is both simple and profound, and it is one that the science supports with remarkable consistency across cultures, age groups, and personality types. People do not remember what you said to them with any real precision. They do not remember the specific details of what you wore or the exact words you chose. What they remember with extraordinary fidelity and for an extraordinary length of time is how being around you felt. They remember whether they left your presence feeling more confident or less, whether they felt interesting or boring, heard or dismissed, valuable or small. Every single principle in the science of being liked ultimately reduces to this one mechanism: the management of how other people feel about themselves in your presence. And the most revolutionary thing you can do with this knowledge is to decide, consciously and deliberately, that every person you encounter will leave their interaction with you feeling slightly more seen, slightly more valued, and slightly more certain that they matter. Because in a world full of people competing to be impressive, the rarest and most powerful thing you can offer anyone is the simple, transformative experience of being genuinely, unforgettably known.